Hello and welcome to the Cal State applying to the CSU for fall of 2024. The first step you want to do is go to calstate.edu/apply. You can also use the QR code on the right hand side of the screen, and you are going to select fall of 2024 admissions, and then you'll want to click apply. This will prompt you to create an account. Remember that the priority deadline is November 30th. Some campuses will admit students for spring of 25, but not all campus and majors will be open. So we encourage you, if possible, to apply for fall of 24. If you need to delay till spring, we'll know which campuses are open in August. So it'll prompt you to create an account. You want to use an email address that you checked often. Most communication is going to come to this email, so don't use an email that will expire, like some of the school accounts or your high school account. Considering putting notifications to your phone, it is really important that you check your email daily because any communication from the university is going to come straight to that email. It'll prompt you to complete your profile. Most students are going to be first bachelor's degree, so transferring from a community college to get your first undergrad degree. And it will be either the last two, so transferring with an associate degree for transfer and transferring from a community college or four-year institution. Transferring with an associate's degree is different from an associate degree for transfer. An associate degree for transfer is very prescribed. You have to meet all the requirements. If you're not sure if you qualify for an ADT, which is an Associate of Arts for transfer, an Associate of Science for transfer, please check with your academic counselor. As stated before, an associate's degree is not the same as an ADT. It is really important if you are receiving an ADT to list this in here because we will confirm your status in the spring to the CSU campus. All students will choose, because you should have, greater than or equal to 60 semester units. It is okay if you don't have 60 semester units right now and fall already completed. They are projecting that, so it'll be all the in-progress classes that you have for fall, and by the end of spring of 24, you should have 60 semester units. You'll then select your program. You don't need to select all your programs right now. You'll either want to search by campus or by the name of the program. It is $70 per application unless you get the fee waiver, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And if you do receive the fee waiver, you'll get 4 campuses for free. You can add additional campuses at the end. There's 4 different quadrants that we will go over. Personal information, academic history, supporting information, and program materials. The first quadrant will be personal information, and you can skip around the application. Don't feel like you have to complete this. The circle has to be green in order to move on. You can fill out what you have and then come back, but all circles have to be green before you can submit. They'll ask you some biographic information, so like questions that include sexual orientation, gender expression, gender identity. These are completely optional and voluntary. You do not have to fill them out if you don't want to. Carefully type in your social security number. This is very important. Make sure you're not transposing a number. This is what links to your financial aid, and it's just going to cause more work to fix it if you accidentally mess that number up. Enter your social security number if you have qualified for DACA and have been issued a social security number. If not, go ahead and leave that part blank. You'll then want to complete the financial and parental information. This is how they calculate the fee waiver. This information is not used to determine financial aid and is only used for information and the fee waiver. You'll want to complete the household income and size information, and then it'll ask if any of these statements apply to you, and that would determine if you're an independent or a dependent student. If you accidentally Need to go back to your extended profile. You're going to go to the top right hand corner where your name is, and this is where you can update if you had an ADT or if not, or if you accidentally clicked that you don't have 60 units. This is where you'll update that information. The next part is going to be the academic history. You're going to include all high schools attended and the one that you graduated from, and what type of term they were on. So whether it was full year, semester, trimester, quarter, and when you graduated, if you did. You do not have to include any high school coursework or high school GPA because you were a transfer student. Then you will list every college that you have attended. It is really important to have your unofficial transcripts in hand when filling out this information so that it is accurate. If you are getting a regular associate's degree, you'll want to list that here. And it is very important that you list every college. You can't omit any information, even if you got only W's at that previous school, or maybe you took a class in high school at a previous community college. You have to show each of those transcripts. Along with that, you need to complete the transcript entry part with every single course that you have taken at a higher education institution. So whether that be just at Cabrillo or if you went to another institution prior to Cabrillo. You want to include all withdrawals, repeats, labs, test credits, gym courses. Even courses are non-transferable, so that's why it's really important to have your unofficial. I would prefer that you use your unofficial over your timeline and student planning. It's just easier and more accurate. So if you took a class from a California community college and it is transferable, a lot of the courses are going to auto-populate. You are going to want to use this option because it will make it easier for you, but it'll also give you an accurate GPA count. Avoid manual course entry. If you only took courses at Cabrillo, you would only enter courses manually if it was above 100. So if the course number was above 100. If you went to another four-year university, you will have to enter in those manually. But most courses for most of you will be auto-populated, and I want you to select from that drop-down menu. This is very important. Please take a screenshot of this. If you have repeated courses, had academic renewal, pass, no pass, it will be important to use these mnemonics or these abbreviations so that you have an accurate GPA. So any course that you have academic renewal that usually says 04 on the right-hand side of your transcript, you want to put AR. If you repeated a course, you want to put RP for the original course, and then the second or third attempt, you'll put the grade. If you are currently repeating the course, then you would put the original grade. So for instance, if I took Math 4 last semester, I got a D, I'm going to put the D, and then the new grade I will put in progress for fall. Now, if I took it fall of 22 and repeated it spring of 23, I'll put the RP and then the new grade, which was maybe, let's say it was a B for spring. This is why it's so important to come to one of our open sessions so that we can review this area, because we want to present the most accurate and best GPAs possible. After you enter all of your coursework, there is going to be a section for the Golden 4. These are minimum admission requirements. Everyone should have them. If you don't, please check with a counselor. Some majors are exempt, but that is mostly just engineering majors, but always check with the counselor, because if you do not have the accurate course in here, it is cause for denial. Little cheat code, your oral communication is going to be COM 1. It is on the last page of your transcript. These codes are, your A2 is going to be, most of you is going to have English 1A. A3 is going to be English 2 or Philosophy 49. And then Math 4 could be Math 12, Business 9, Psych 2A, but that's going to be listed under B4. Once again, we are here to help you with this part of the application. You'll then want to enter any standardized tests. This would be such as AP, Advanced Placement when you're in high school, or IB. If you pass the AP score with a 3 or above, you want to list that course, especially if you need it to meet your 60 units. And same thing with IB, you want to list your higher level courses. The next part will be supporting information. Not all students will complete this information. It is for EOP. If you're part of EOP currently at Cabrillo, we want to apply for the four-year university for EOP as well. But if you're not, you still have the opportunity to apply. EOP is for first-generation students from historically disadvantaged backgrounds. There's some general questions, some biographical questions. I'll ask some questions about your parents' financial status. And then you'll need two letters of recommendation. You'll enter their information and I'll send them a survey. If you don't want to apply for EOP, you can just select not interested and it will close this quadrant back. You don't have to have this part done prior to November 30th, but we encourage you to do so. So you want to get this started early, especially if you need to ask for letter recommendations. And once again, that's not a letter recommendation. You'll want to ask if the person would serve as a recommender for you. You put their email address. They'll send them to a portal where they'll ask questions about your history. Because you want to give them adequate time to make sure that they're going to be able to get that done in. We do encourage you to finish it by November 30th because what happens is a lot of times students forget to come back to it and don't apply for the program. And this is where it says yes, or I'll complete these questions later, or if you don't want to. The next part is going to be program materials. This is going to be different depending on the student and the school and major that you are applying to. Some of them just have a homepage letting you know more about their university, if they require COVID-19 vaccinations. Some of them will ask questions like, what are your golden four? What is the major prep that you completed? So it really just depends on the campus. So it is going to be different for everyone. Once you've completed that, you're going to go back and once again, you're going to want those 4 quadrants to be all green so that they are complete. It will then take you to a review page. It will look at any classes that you repeated and remind you should put RP. It will give you a GPA count. It will list your golden 4. This is very important to review before you submit. Once you submit your application, you can't make any updates to the original application. You'll have to contact every institution individually. So we just want to make sure that you are presenting the most accurate information as possible. You don't have to submit them all at once. You can obviously, but you can always add later, but you can't edit the application after you submit one application. This is the screen where you'll say check my fee waiver status, and if you do qualify, you'll get 4 for free. And then once fall grades are posted, you're going to come back in here and update your fall grades and your spring classes. That is very important. So that completes your application. Some frequently asked questions. When do I turn in transcripts? You only send them once the campus requests them. You'll send them from Cabrillo and any other institutions, and then from College Board if you have AP credit. Some institutions have a supplemental application. That is only going to be San Jose State and Long Beach, and you'll do that in January. You have to complete that supplemental application in order for your application to be complete. So make sure you're checking your email. They will most likely, in previous years, they've asked students to create a portal, and then the supplemental application lives in that. And we will have workshops in January to assist you with that part of the application. So your next step is to attend a virtual session, a help session. We have them virtually or in person. And this is basically your opportunity to work on your application, review your application, and ask any questions. So after this webinar, we encourage you to start the application, get as much as you can done on your own, and then come to one of our help sessions. These are the only ones that are offered in October. If you're watching this webinar in November, please visit our transfer events calendar and those will be posted. So a little bit about the timeline. You should submit your CS application by November 30th. In January, you're going to want to update your grades and your spring classes. San Jose Supplemental is due January 25th. Long Beach is due February 1st. And then in March and April, you will start hearing back from your campuses, sometimes even earlier than that. And then May 1st, they want you to give you your decision. So you have to submit your statement of intent, so your cert. And then once your spring grades are posted, you want to send your final transcripts. Most of you, your GE certification, and then you're off. Goes by fast. Here are the current dates and deadlines. I want you to take this with a grain of salt just because I want everyone to submit, if possible, by November 30th. This is when you'll have the most opportunity to get assistance and get help from an academic counselor. Once school is out in December, their academic counselors don't come back until mid-January. So for all of your opportunities, we want to make sure that you're submitted by November 30th because that's when we'll have our workshops and the most counselors will be available. Okay, thank you for listening today. Wish you the best of luck. We hope to see you in a help session. We are here for you. Please do not submit without us checking and reviewing your application so that we can just make sure that you are presenting yourself as accurate as possible. We were excited for you and excited that you're at this step, and congratulations. We'll see you soon.